Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Senior Fellow of the Institute of Peace and Conflict Studies, joins us. An RSS thinker, Ratan Sharda, joins us on this broadcast as well. And Abhijit Iyer Mitra, I want to begin by asking you, you've seen this legal hurdle, this legal fight up close and personal. From today's verdict, do you think you're back to square one, or do you believe there is a situation of win some, lose some?
No, I don't think we're back to square one. I think the main thing here is, if and when the government, and we've been led to believe the government is bringing in some kind of a uniform civil code, that will have to include it, because, you can't have two legislations for the same thing. So if and when the government does introduce that, I certainly will be petitioning the court for ab initio marriage equality to be written into it. Let's remember, the court has held that there is a need for marriage equality. The point is, it says that it is legislative. I also want to point out, the courts have no problem interfering in legislation when it suits them. With the farm laws, they were very happy interfering with it. With Sabarimala, they were very happy interfering with it. It's just suddenly when some other communities get involved, they don't want to interfere in it. This is not the rule of law.
Right, so it's selective is what you're trying to say, Abhijit Iyer Mitra. I want to get in Ratan Sharda as well. Ratan Sharda, we are seemingly moving towards a uniform civil code, and like Abhijit Iyer Mitra also put out, then you would have no option, but it would break open the doors of what exactly is being asked for by the petitioners in this particular case. Do you think then India is ready for this?
I think what Abhijit says depends on who are the petitioners, what they do when the Uniform Civil Code comes. It will need much more push than believing that the Uniform Civil Code by itself will bring in this law. See, there are four issues today that have come up. One is the legal, other is the political, third is social, and fourth is wokeism. To my mind, legally, courts gave all the good words that suit the woke crowd and to make them happy. But when it came to bite, they refused to bite because they are afraid. While they were not afraid of so many legislation where they have been, taking a very, very pervasive stance, like Abhijit pointed out, on this issue, which is a very sensitive issue, which requires society to take along, they could have taken a much more bolder step as they took in case of decriminalization, because only they are above the popular politics. Politicians are not. Secondly, as far as political stance goes, when the committee is formed, whether the committee is empowered enough. Secondly, the brief of the committee, whether it's limited only to give them the basic human right, like being companion or succession right or separation, etc., and their financial security, etc., or it is going to go further down and do something legal about it. Third is the social issue. To my mind, this LGBT issue has been totally downgraded by the folks who have added Q++, I++, which has confused the entire issue. There are genuine LGBT people who are nature's own gift, but there are people who made it into some kind of spectacle where they have gone down to the level where they're trying to make children talk about gender sensitization, where they're trying to make children change sex in minor age, where parents don't have any role to play. As we copy West, I am very fearful that this will also be copied to that level. If that goes to that level, then the real issues of the genuine LGBT community will be lost. That is happening now. People are confused that who are these weird people who are trying to, come up for these laws. I have never seen people of this type. I have met Abhijit, I have met so many other people who have been genuinely very good, wonderful people who don't go out for any exhibitionism. This is what worries me, because what happens to the family, we are not very sure when they get married. While I have been advocating decriminalization from the very idea of Indian culture, as far as this marriage is concerned, same-sex marriage is concerned, it requires much more discussion in the society.
Sure.
Times have changed and thinking has changed, but it cannot push through. It cannot be pushed down the throat of the people. As you go forward, you'll find minorities totally against it. And this government is strong enough to decriminalize it with the help of court. But when it comes to same-sex marriage, are going to face huge opposition from the conservatives, from orthodoxy, and it has to be sensitized, not through the woke communities, but to real, genuine activists of LGBT.
Sure, but Mr. Sharda, the argument that you're making, that we as a society are perhaps not ready for it and you cannot push this down somebody's throat. But this is the same argument that those who are against UCC also make. can they then differentiate?
No.
You say a different push needs to be made and it depends really on who the petitioners are. But can we then differentiate that we have, as per religion is concerned, we have the same law for everyone, but then it gets selective when it's about sexual orientation or gender identity?
See, you are talking minority within minority. People have not been recognized as genuine, or the normal human beings, that they've been criminalized, they've been ridiculed. From there, we have come to a stage where we started acceptance. So I am talking of that aspect. I am not talking of, it is similar to religious. No, it is not similar to religious equivocation. It is different because every religion has such communities. How that religion acts with that community is the issue. Hindus have been able to absorb them, treat them equally well, and they have not created the kind of criminalization that other societies did. So we have a very different approach than what West is. We cannot copy West. We have to find our own solutions. We will find our own solutions, but we need much more sanity and much more persuasive way of doing it.
Sure.
As I said, just as UCC requires persuasion, this also requires persuasion, but these are really people who have no voice. These are people whom people don't recognize, refuse to recognize, and queers have queered the pitch by the eyes, wokeism has queered their pitch further, where people look at it in a very strange, phenomena. It's not a strange phenomena. They have been around for thousands of years.
Sure. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, do you agree that some perhaps are working against the cause that you're fighting for? It's counterproductive to the cause that you're fighting for?
Absolutely. See, the problem is, Poonam, I am gay. There is nothing mentally wrong with me. The problem is I am today forcibly clubbed in with a whole crowd of mental illness called wokery, which, advocates female genital mutilation, child genital mutilation, all kinds of things in serious psychological disorders, which are now clumped with me. In Canada, now it's become two spirits. Apparently, you can be bipolar and be classified in the same category as Abhijit Iyer Mitra, homosexual. Okay, I am not bipolar. Bipolarity is different. Trans problems are different. Lesbian problems are different. Homosexual men problems are different. Bisexual problems are different. Each one of them is different. You can't go have Delhi Pride where you carry Free Palestine and Free Kashmir slogans. How did Free Kashmir and Free Palestine come into this? In Palestine and Kashmir, I'll be thrown off a rooftop. It's like chickens advocating for KFC. Have you ever seen chickens in a KFC ad saying we love KFC? No. It has become a joke. And there has been, remember when decriminalization happened, the government never opposed it. They left it to the courts and there was very significant support from the Hindu community for it. Why did everybody turn against it this particular time? I think we have to introspect. It's very easy to externalize problems, but we really need to introspect as to why this happened and why a government that was generally supportive, and even now the RSS is extremely supportive of gay marriage. The issue is one of public perception and how that public perception is turned. What has changed in these last 4 or 5 years when the public perception is turned? Why?
Sure, and now we have a committee that's going to be looking into this on the directions of the Supreme Court, but we do not have the nitty-gritties of what this committee is going to look like, what the framework is that they're going to look into, what the timeline of it is. Does that give you hope, or do you feel that this perhaps would then be shelved or pushed into cold storage because it's an uncomfortable thing to talk about for many?
Absolutely. I think a timeline should have been given, but that doesn't matter. I think any further civil push by this government, be it UCC, be it anything else, we will be intervening in the courts to tag on marriage equality in there. I think it should be that sort of a conditionality that there can be no social legislation with regards to personal law which does not tag on social equity. That will be the legal strategy as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what the other people are going to do because they clearly seem to be more interested in publicity than actually solving problems.
And we really do hope that it's not the cause that suffers at the hands of a certain few who are trying to just grab headlines like both of you have been pointing out. But on that note, I want to leave it there. I thank you both gentlemen for joining us here on this broadcast.